Okay. Well, welcome to the Made by Hand podcast, episode something.
Seven.
Seven. Perfect. Episode 7. I'm Ryan Murphy of Odd One Out, and this is.
Doug from Humble Object.
And we get together every week or so to talk about our woodworking businesses and everything that has to do with those. Yeah.
Let's get into it.
What's happening, man? How are you?
I am good. I'm fresh back from vacation. Took a week off. Head back to my old hometown in Toronto, from Oakville, and got to go to a wedding and just hang out for a little bit.
Sweet. So, what are you? Did you have any projects on the go before you had to go back?
Yeah, I finished. So what was on the bench was a serving station for a restaurant that's opening up in Coquitlam called I Love Gigi's. I think it's the second installment from Ask for Luigi. So yeah, huge restaurant. We've been doing kind of pieces here and there, but this is kind of the final one. And so I delivered that, and it was actually really good because they have like a big center bar that's kind of the showpiece of like the whole place. Like it's a very, very like well designed, massive, bright restaurant. And it turns out that I thought the serving station was gonna be kind of in the back or something, like near the kitchen. For the wait staff, but it's actually going to be dead center of the bar. So
Right.
basically it's like you have the bar seating and then there's a gap and then it's the serving station. And so, yeah, it's like nestled right in the middle of the bar. Beautiful kind of wraparound, like center circle bar. So I'm excited because they don't have any choice but to feature it in their photos because that bar is going to be like the hero of the photos. So I'll get some professional photos from that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just rip those straight from the website, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as they come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that through a developer or from the restaurant owners?
So that was through Marcon, but they are basically, it's a new big development in Coquitlam that they're working on, but they're building this kind of community center that has their sales center, has Nemesis Coffee, which we've previously worked for in the past. And then it has I Love Gigi's as the restaurant component. So it's a big complex.
Awesome. Yeah. I guess you did work for that Nemesis, correct? Is that the one you did the tables and some other things?
Yeah. Yeah, we did a bunch of pieces for their Surrey location, and then we're actually in contact with them now to do some more pieces for this job that we're currently already working for.
Sweet. Good deal.
Yeah. Yeah, they're expanding, and they really care a lot about the style and how everything looks. And I think that their style generally fits into kind of the stuff that we like to build and our style as well.
Well, how long? I don't know, a couple weeks ago or whatever, you were texting me asking about, or we were talking about wooden tabletops. Where'd you end up landing on that?
In terms of finish?
Yeah, like in terms of like protective, and would it be enough?
So the question I was having is because I've done like black stain in a bunch of different ways over the years with many different tables. And I'm still trying to find that kind of perfect combination for like a good looking black where you can kind of see the grain pop and all the things you want from a solid wood black stain piece, but then also durability, because obviously scratches and blemishes are a lot more obvious on black stain because it basically you're kind of cutting into the real wood. So you can't really hide much. So in a commercial setting, you really need to trust the finish that you're using, that it's going to last. So yeah, I think I was talking about Rubio. So I've used Rubio monocoat, their pre-color black, and then using their top wax oil in black. And that was a good fit, but that was for a residential project. So I've never actually used that for a commercial project yet.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know that as well with the black. I didn't realize it was going to be, or the intent was maybe to have a stained top as well. That's a good question. I mean, I have no experience with that. I mean, I guess you don't have to worry as much about staining. It's just about abrasion, right? I think
it's really that top coat that you're worried about.
I mean, again, we've like heard of people using Cerakote's not the word, that's what they use on guns. That nano ceramic coating as a top coat on top of hard wax oils. Heard of also using that newer UV curing hard wax oils that I guess are quite a bit more durable. And preceding that, the more like chemical option of going a full like industrial 2-part urethane top coat on stuff like that. I mean, not that would be out of certainly my grasp. I assume yours to apply ourselves, just because one, I don't have the size of booth to be able to do something like that safely, because that stuff's pretty dangerous. But I guess it's something you'd have to outsource if you chose to go that route.
Yeah. The issues with like commercial is just such a different world in terms of finish, because you literally have hundreds of people using those tables every single day and then being like cleaned constantly in between, like each person being wiped down. You don't know if it's going to be like, you can obviously give your recommendations for how to clean them, but in a commercial like high paced setting like a coffee shop or a restaurant, it's kind of hard to know that they're going to be using those less quality, sorry, like more abrasive kind of soaps and those kind of things.
Like in my experience and kind of what I've gleaned from other people is that, for restaurant projects, I've done restaurant tables. I've actually done black restaurant tables in the past, so we use that black polyurethane, the roll-on stuff, and it holds up fairly well. I mean, you've got a few things going for you depending on the restaurant too, is that usually they're pretty dark because they set like a mood, so you don't have a ton of raking light on them. But that we would always refinish them either once or twice a year. Because there's just natural wear and tear. So for a lot of like my restaurant customers, so we've talked about this in the past, they're like, we want something that's just going to stand up forever. It's like, well, what you want then is stone or glass. Because there's no finish that I know of that stands up to abrasion, full stop. Everything will show marks. That's a guarantee for in all cases. And eventually will need refinishing. It just depends on how much of a nightmare it's going to be to refinish. And that's why I'm really excited about the idea of using hard wax oils with maybe that nano coat on top, because I think it looks really good. Like the way it treats the grain, the way it's not as plasticky as those other finishes like the urethanes. And you can show up, you can do it probably in-house if you assume that the restaurant's going to be closed for a couple of days. Like when they go on a holiday, that's when we would normally do it. We'd go in, sand down the tops, and then apply. At the time, it was that brush on your polyurethane. But, I would imagine the same thing for a hard wax oil with the nano ceramic coating on top.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, the what I've been noticing too, actually, just as I've been like thinking about this and trying to like develop what our plan going forward is, because I'd like to kind of come up with a perfect solution and then just go with it for foreseeable future, just so like when we're buying materials and product, it's more of a bulk purchase rather than kind of testing out on each one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I've been noticing a lot in a coffee shops like in Gastown and other spaces that get a lot of traffic, is that some of the tables in there don't have any finish on them at all anymore. Like they've been wiped, the finish has been wiped clean off, and you can kind of see the finish on the edges of the table.
Mm-hmm.
But then like the heavy wipe spots, it's basically raw wood. And I just wonder, it was like, how long has that been like that? And how is it like not just completely coffee stained? Yeah, I guess like using white oak and stuff like that, you get a little bit of durability just in the wood itself. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to kind of see that with how much I worry about that happening. Like it's just basically like all over the place right now.
Yeah. I think that's one of those things when you start paying attention to what tabletops actually look like in these places, it turns out they do look like there's a lot of wear and tear on them. There is no really, any perfect thing. And it's just about upkeep and how often they want to pay for someone to come in and get it done. But yeah, for sure. And I mean, these were nice restaurants that we were doing the black urethane in, but you get away with it for just so long until you gotta redo it, like anything else.
That's a different mindset to think about it as like, okay, here, this is we stand behind this finish for the next 6 months to a year, and then we are setting up a plan to come and refinish it, and that's kind of it's not selling a lifetime finish to your clients, but kind of being honest and saying the benefit of using solid hardwood is that we can come back and refinish it and it looks like new every year. So it's kind of speaking to the benefit of using hardwood over maybe some thin veneers.
For sure. Yeah. I would never recommend a veneered product for a tabletop in a restaurant. That shit'll soak up and get ruined for sure. I mean, the cost of that would be pretty rough in the end for replacement. But I mean, and even like stonewares, it gets scratched. Like they have coatings on them themselves, but usually just the nature of it being so figured, for lack of a better word, it kind of hides a lot of that. But yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing. It's like if you only want to finish it every few years, what you want is stone. If you're happy to refinish it, there's not a finish on the planet that exists that you're not going to have to, do something with.
Yeah. It's like the amount of abuse that furniture and tables, specifically tabletops, go through in those commercial spaces is like unheard of. Like it's honestly like 1,000 times what a residential table will go through.
Yeah. I mean, I just replaced some. We had some plywood seats at one of the cafes I did furniture for. And just last week, I ended up putting new sheets of plywood on top. But those were originally, and I did again, were hard wax oil, and they held up. I think I put those last ones in maybe 3-4 years ago. And the owner just said, I'll just make new ones and just put them down on top of the existing ones. Tell anyway, just the way that the thing's constructed. There was no need to like reapply it in that case, but it still would have been a lot easier to just sand it back. Sorry, than the alternative.
Was that Osmo or
That
Rubio?
would have been Osmo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like I had heard people talking that the formulation for Osmos changed like post pandemic, that it wasn't as durable as it used
Oh,
to
really?
be. I don't know that yet to be the case. I guess I'm going to find out because I've still been using it, but I haven't had anyone come back, or I haven't noticed anything, I should say, yet myself. I don't know. Something I'll pay attention to.
Awesome. Yeah, I was in Toronto, and then just before I left, I've been kind of just going to a bunch of coffee shops and kind of seeing what's up. I've been noticing a trend toward, and just want to know if you've seen this, the outdoor furniture and some of the indoor furniture, but green, lots of green, very similar looking kind of metal outdoor chairs. Have you seen those with like the metal ribs going through it, and they kind of have like a Hollywood like poolside kind of retro vibe, but they're just all like dark green, and then matching that with the tables. I've been seeing like it's just been popping out to me everywhere that a lot of people are using it. Actually, the job that we were just talking about, they have an upstairs patio, and their entire patio is those green chairs. And then a coffee shop downtown Vancouver that I was at, same thing. And then even in Toronto at some of their new developments there's just those green chairs everywhere.
Oh, okay. Green, you mean like the style and the color of the chair are consistent? It's like the same
Yeah.
chair?
It's like the same chair, maybe from two different providers, but like the same, they're both going for the same style.
No, I mean, I haven't come across them.
You'll see them now everywhere.
Yeah.
But I just thinking, I was like, should I make like a green stool or something, like just like match that kind of color that everyone seems to be going toward?
Yeah. I mean, are you interested in getting into as like a tinted Rubio product?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So those, like, you have more experience than I do with these, because you were just talking about the black one they used as well. I guess they have other color options that are fully opaque, whatever you call them. Like they don't tint; they actually fully color.
Yeah. So the Rubio does have some. When I do like a custom color match or something, like I don't know if it's the best way to do it, but I'll usually bring into what is it called? What is the red paint store? Benjamin Moore. I think they're switching to another brand now. I think they got bought out, but I'll bring in basically a piece of wood in the similar tone that I'm going to be staining. And then I'll find a color swatch or something close to a color sample, and then I'll bring that in, and then they'll match a stain for me, a penetrating stain.
Okay, so you're doing a penetrating stain, so it gets full color, like not tinted, but fully that color.
Yeah.
I don't know why the words are escaping me here to describe what I'm trying to say, but like it's as if you painted it red,
but
right?
But still a stain, so it's
but
still
it's still
like
a
you
stain.
get the grain.
Yeah, so it's below and just on top, or however you describe the stain process.
It doesn't like opaque out the grain at all. Like it's the same as doing like a black stain. Like the idea is that you don't want it to look like a wash in any way.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you top coat with hard wax oil?
And then top coat, yeah.
Oh,
and
okay.
I've been using the thin Osmo for the top coat.
There's a thin Osmo?
There is, yeah. And it's just like you can put like really thin coats on with it. And then I find that depends on how long you let the stain last though, but sometimes some of the stain can, like I found with the thicker Osmo or the regular Osmo, that the stain color will kind of, I don't know, interact with it and kind of like wash out in a couple spots. Whereas the thin with a roller, it doesn't.
So the Osmo, I guess, doesn't change the color because Osmo has a bit of an amber.
It darkens it, but the good thing about Benjamin Moore is that when you bring it in, you tell them what finish you're going to use, and they have all the Osmo products, and then they match the color with finish on it. Yeah. So then when you come back, they'll have like 4 different options or whatever, and then they'll all have like, oh, this is 2 coats of Osmo, this is 1 coat of Osmo thin. They'll show you how it is. So like once you actually do the whole process and finish, it's the color that you wanted.
Do they sell Osmo, or they're just doing it to? Oh, they do. Is that the Broadway location?
Broadway, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There's one on Clark as well, but they don't sell a lot of stuff.
I've noticed that when I've gone to the Broadway one in the past, that they have some like real pros working there that really know their stuff. Not to like denigrate whatever is going on at Clark, but I've just noticed specifically, maybe just because of the problems I've gone to them with, that they really seem to know what they're talking about, and they have like taken the time to work through, you know, what the solution is at. So you can buy Osmo at that Broadway one as well.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's usually where I get it, or Greenworks.
Okay. Yeah, I've gotten it Greenworks locally.
Yeah.
You know, nearer to where I am. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both good. I'd find that it's like I've been to a Benjamin Moore a couple times where they didn't have the Osmo that I needed, like if they didn't have the Raw or whatever it was. But I've also been to Greenworks when they didn't too. So it's kind of you kind of got to just be there at the right time. I don't think they stock like a ton of it.
Yeah, that's definitely a call ahead situation.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't think furniture makers are usually like a lot of them are going there for it. I think it's more like flooring. That's kind of their bread and butter.
Oh, I see. Got you. Yeah, they're selling it for what it's actually supposed to be used for.
Exactly.
Floors and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Oh,
Yeah,
that's good to know. That's nice. That adds a little something to the toolbox. I didn't. I always knew about the tinted products, but I don't know. I guess it never clicked in my head to actually use standard stain. But you're saying you don't use it with the traditional, not traditional, the 3043. You don't use it with that one. Now, is there any difference in how well they protect using that thinner top coat?
I'm not too sure. Like I have pieces out in the wild with it, and I will check in at some point.
Yeah. Okay.
But it says that it's like you can build up to the same thickness as the other one. They're just thinner coats. So you like do it with a roller, and like you don't have to wipe it or anything. You can just roll it on and then leave it.
Yeah, you're saying there's bleed through. I wonder if there's actually the solvent in the Osmo actually also affects the stain, like re-wets it, you know,
Yeah.
as it's going over top.
It definitely does something, but it also could just be my dry times. Like maybe if I let the stain dry for like 2 weeks and then tried it, like it'd be a different story. Because it's usually like I'm like 3 days after the stain, I'm putting the finish on.
I just feel like when you read the cans, they're like, yeah, if you're gonna top coat, leave it for 2 weeks, or like you hear someone saying like, and then leave it. Like, who the fuck has 2 weeks to let a stain off gas before you can do the top coat? Like, don't even if that is the case, don't present that stain as an option to me, because I don't have 2 weeks to have some furniture kicking around in the shop. I mean, I can understand if it was like the top coat that needs to cure, like paint. If you do paint in your shop as opposed to taking to someone who used like a 2-part system where it actually cures hard in 24 hours. You got to leave that shit lying around forever so that you don't leave fingerprints when you go to transport, and it is a nightmare.
Well, I know with Rubio, you get the two, right? You get the activator or the whatever, and then you get the oil, so that it's like 24 hours, which was nice. But this is actually a good topic to discuss, because there's a couple things in woodworking, like as you're growing, that kind of fall into this. One would be like acclimating wood to your shop. And then I think the other big one is like we were just talking about, is finish. Because when you're starting, you're kind of hoping to get projects done as quickly as possible, because you need to like focus on marketing and do a lot of other stuff. So when you're trying to do like 10 pieces at a time in a 2-month span, like you said, there is no time to wait a month for the wood to acclimate and then wait wait 2 weeks for the finish to dry. And then you talk to different people, both established and not, and you kind of get conflicting answers, where some people say, no, I bring the wood right into the shop and start working with it. And those are like, I've talked to like very well-known luxury furniture builders. But then you go on YouTube and it's like, well, I will never work on wood that hasn't been in my shop for 2 months minimum.
Yeah, I don't know about that YouTube stuff. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people just kind of regurgitating the same shit that they've heard other content creators say, as if it's something that they've experienced their entire life. Again, not to like talk shit about YouTubers. I've learned a lot over the years from YouTube, but like there was this thing before, not to like tangent too far off, about they were like people would let their glue lines dry to a point where it's gelled, and then they would scrape it away. Like that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Anytime you're going to do that, you're going to have glue residue, and then it's going to be in an inside corner and you're screwed. You need to take care of that when it's wet. And if you're making furniture, and this is something that obviously they're not talking to pros, they're talking to hobbyists, but I don't know, I'm not going to set a 30-minute timer to come back to when my glue might be gelled so I can then scrape it away from an inside joint. It's ridiculous. You take care of that straight away, and then you move on to the next part of your project. But anyway, yeah, no, for sure. I've heard the same things. And honestly, in my experience, well, one, my shop is neither air conditioned nor humidity controlled. So when it comes out from the lumber yard, I don't expect it to have a huge change in my shop. I do expect when I do the first milling that overnight, as you've removed the stresses from the wood, that wood's going to warp and move into its new comfortable position. And then I'm going to mill it again to take away what happened after I did the first bit of milling down to the final size. Now that I think is true. The difference between changing the tensions that are in the board as opposed to trying to bring into equilibrium the moisture content and what will happen after that. So I let it rest, let it warp again, clean it back up straight and square, and then turn that thing into furniture. Because the longer you wait, you might have some twist and warp. But if you get that locked into casework or whatever final form it's going to be, because it's going to leave here, and I guarantee anyone that's buying furniture for me has a much less humid, much more temperature controlled space. So if it's acclimated in my shop, what does that mean? It means absolutely nothing before it then goes into somebody else's space. I think people who are a lot better than I am have talked about, when they're assessing their joints and what time of year it is. Like now we're in summer here in the Pacific Northwest. It's a little bit drier than normal. Maybe if you're going to be leaving your gaps, you'll leave them a little bit wider, assuming that your wood might be a little bit drier right now than it would be if you're making it in the dead of winter when it's raining all the time. By like how much? Like what's that? Is that a 16th? Is it a 2nd? Is it a 64th? I don't know. I don't know if yeah, Sam, I don't know if I lend a whole bunch of credence to that. Furniture's going to live indoors for all of its life, so that shit's going to shrink if it's doing anything.
This is like a complete comparison to like trying to run a business and just being an artisan craftsperson that maybe has funding to support their life from somewhere else. But I know running a business, it's a lot more kind of, you gotta move quickly on things and get things out the door, or else you're not making any money.
Yeah, and I also think you're not 99 times out of 100 you're not sacrificing any quality doing that. I think there is a little bit too much concern based on how much people are expecting wood to move from kiln dried wood and what your moisture content's going to do. Now, I think there's a threshold to that. Like, I think if you were to moisture test your wood and to see that it was at some crazy high percent, then you probably just shouldn't buy that piece of wood because you don't have 3 months to let it sit in your shop. You need to find a supplier that's going to give you your kiln dried product that hasn't been sitting at the bottom of a swamp for a year. And I might just be talking out of turn because I haven't had problems that I've faced with it here. And depending on where you live and where you're sourcing your wood, maybe it's different. Or even here locally. Like I said, I'm not the bee's knees of woodworkers, like the best, most experienced person in the world. So, if and when we have more experienced people on this podcast, I'd love to hear their opinion on it too, from their own experience, and see what they think. But that's so far what I've seen.
Yeah, I've kind of been asking these questions just at like meetups and kind of when you're around people that have been around it for a long time, and just kind of picking up those little kind of learnings that you really only learn by either asking people that have done it or going through it yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of, let's say, myths or recommended suggestions that hover around the furniture industry.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure there is. Especially with all the different voices that are out there now, for better and for worse. We're getting a lot of information. We don't exactly know how accurate it is. And again, how accurate it may be to our situation, where we're getting our wood, what our supply chains are like here, that kind of stuff.
Awesome. So what have you been up to? You just were off camera showing me some packaging. That's crazy that you're kind of like your packaging has now become like a product as well. Like you gotta like industrial design your packaging.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I'm stoked that it's going. So I guess I don't know. Like when we talked last time, I mentioned how many new tools and crap are coming into the shop, right? I think so. I think last I did the sandblaster, the media blaster cabinet for the aluminum part on the MagSafe chargers. And I think I showed you those two on camera. I know no one else is going to see it probably, but I think I showed you that. Did I show you the engraving too from the fiber laser? Yeah. Okay. So the fiber laser, I got that up and running. I made the engravings on the metal, and I got a CO2 laser that's behind me now. And that took a little while to commission because I had to make a stand for it like it's on right now. It has a chiller unit to keep the laser tube cold, and it needed access for ventilation on 3 faces. So I had to position it. What made the most sense for what I chose to do was to position it lower than the CO2 laser so that it still had open access from its sides, but I wanted to keep it as compact as I could, the smallest square footprint. I had to add in a better air assist. So when the CO2 laser is cutting, it blows air on what it's cutting, and that helps keep it clean and keep stuff from lighting on fire. So I ran an air line from my compressor, which is over in that corner of the shop, up along the ceiling and then down here, installed a new regulator and a solenoid that hooks up to the circuit board in there. It was all like straightforward. It sounds like I know what I'm doing, but really I looked at a YouTube video and they basically had a shopping list of stuff to buy. And then installed the ducting out to the front of the shop, which needs more ducting. I'll probably run that up to the roof of the building and vent it out from there. But anyway, yeah, it's that.
Will they allow you to do that? To like add ducting to the outside of the building?
Oh, I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to do it and then ask for forgiveness if it doesn't work. I mean, I'm as qualified as anyone else to add that ducting to the outside of the building. I'm not worried about it structurally, especially with the friends that I have in the building industry. But it's not complicated to put up. I don't know. Maybe they'd have a problem with it. We'll find out. To be honest, when I was installing the duct and punching a hole through my wall when I installed this, my landlord came in as I was like installing ductwork in the shop, and I mean, she didn't mention anything. She said they're lovely. They're great people, and yeah, it doesn't really do anything negative to the building. Anyway, yeah. So I got to do that to get the smoke, because the smoke it's bad. And it just vents outside the door, and it's not good enough. It's not high enough. And honestly, I wanted it to be high enough anyway. I just wanted to get it up and running to test it out. So far I've used it to engrave some serving boards for a restaurant that I'm doing some work for. And it's nice for the engravings. You know, for the CNC stuff, you don't have to worry about tool pressure when you're engraving with it. So I don't have to worry about work holding. So I could basically have the product completely finished and then just put it on the bed of the laser engraver and just have it engrave it straight away.
Because it doesn't put any pressure on it. Like it doesn't.
Exactly. There's no pressure. Cool. Yeah. It just zooms around, and it creates a lot more smoke than you would think for how much it's cutting. Like the smallest amount of cutting seems to produce a ton of smoke.
Right.
Yeah. But that was really nice. And they're nice, tight engravings, nice sharp corners. Unlike, like your engraving as well, right? On your CNC with a V-bit, I presume.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so those engravings are just different. It can and are very nice as well. And often it's a different aesthetic when you're doing it, because you have that kind of V pattern cut into the engraving of the letters and whatever you may or may not be engraving, depending on how many, parallel paths you're going back and forth if you're doing something that has a pocket or whatnot. The laser's kind of similar, where it has a certain step over going back and forth as it's engraving. And if you don't make that tight enough, you can see a little bit of stock. Like that'd be over embellishing, say there's stock left, but like enough left so that you can actually see that there was a bit of a raster back and forth. And you kind of balance how much it goes back or how tight that is without overdoing it, without burning or maybe going deeper than you want. Again, I'm early days into it, but it hasn't been that. The learning curve coming from doing the CNC work has not been very high so far.
That's awesome.
ChatGPT spits out some pretty good starting speeds and feeds and temperatures and
nice.
That kind of stuff. So that also makes it really easy.
Yeah.
To
you
get
just need like an iPad on your wall or something that you just go up and just type in, or actually like a ChatGPT pin or something.
Yeah.
You just ask it.
Well, did you see that they came out with an AI pin maybe last year or something like that?
Yeah.
And I guess it was just horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they did that one, and they did the rabbit. That orange thing that was going to be like your wearable AI, or like you could just take AI around with you. It was just like this orange thing that was apparently a giant scam. It was called the rabbit. But no, I did see the pin too, and it was just like, what am I looking at? It's just like, I don't know.
I love the idea where you could hold out your hand though and it project on your hand.
Yeah,
that was very cool. It'll be great when that. I assume they'll probably put it in glasses first. What do you think?
So I have it in my glasses, like the Meta ones, but I only have what's it called? Meta's AI.
But there's no visual interface, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, but it's like I can ask Meta AI questions, but it's like Meta AI is like, for some reason it's nowhere near ChatGPT. Like it can't answer a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I wish if ChatGPT was just in the Meta glasses, like they'd be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I picked up those Meta glasses too.
Oh, did you get them?
I've been using them, just filming some parts of certain projects and stuff like that. It's not bad. Like, It's way better than setting up a camera all the time. Like way, way better. And honestly, that's what I need. I need to remove that barrier between me turning the camera on and not. The picture quality is totally serviceable. I have known nothing about the audio because I don't know if I've listened to it or because the shop's so loud. I don't know. I'd have to pare down the sound on it, which I'm sure is a universal problem for anyone doing this shit. So far, yeah. So I've got it set to do 1 minute recording times, which also is plenty, especially from like editing enough video at this point. I know that no part of any clip needs to be anywhere near a minute long.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
talking seconds.
Yeah.
Which is good because I don't need it to store more than that as well because it takes up so much storage space so quickly. It's annoying that it will only stream to Meta if you want to do continuous recording. I wouldn't now thinking about it, I wouldn't want to necessarily just continuous record to say a hard drive because it would just be so much video to scrub through. And I'm not set up. My computers aren't powerful enough to scrub through that much video to edit down. It would just take too much time anyway.
You gotta pair it with like an AI editing, so then you can just like drop the footage in and then have it pick the best stuff.
Have you tried that?
I've done it. CapCut has like an editor, so you can use that. I've done it for a couple things. It's obviously not going to know that like I wanted to show this cut because it's relevant to the job and not this 30-second later move something from one table to the other. So the more that you can stop and record like as like goalposts for what you actually want it to feature, then it's pretty good at cutting out the best part of that. Like say if you want a 4-second clip and you record for 7 seconds bumper before and after, it's pretty good at picking the height of that clip.
Cool.
Yeah. And then you can just drop it in. But yeah, with a minute videos, like if it's full minute recordings, it's a little tougher.
I think there's only one workflow, but how are you getting it from your glasses to your computer? Or are you just doing it on your phone?
Yeah, so I've just been doing it on my phone because I have CapCut on my phone and I'm just editing it. Like whenever I've edited it, it's for social anyway. So yeah, so I it's pretty easy though. You can just airdrop it or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I have been doing.
Yeah. I think that there's something out of Meta. I think you can send them out of Meta direct too. Like, I don't think you have to download them. Oh, actually, mine's saved to my phone after it goes into Meta and then it saves to my phone.
Yeah, same. And then I have to airdrop them to my computer.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, I just always do it on the computer in terms of like editing. Well, because I'm using Premiere. You're using another software. I guess I could also just use Premiere Rush, the mobile app one too. But I don't have like, especially compared to you, I have no experience editing. So I just know the one thing that I use and I just try to use that over and over again.
Yeah.
But I also don't know yet what I'm going to do with the footage because I haven't just been doing stories and things like that. Meaning like I just haven't been putting up content. So I guess I need to figure out what to do with the footage or just get on it.
I think for us, it's just whatever the easiest way to post half decent content is the way to go.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be half decent and it has to be consistent.
Yeah. Well, I find like I'm always at odds because the brand on Instagram is a retail product brand. And so I don't know if it's confusing to just be put like a lot of the stuff I'm doing in the shop. Maybe I will be. There is things that I'm recording that are product development, which would be relevant, obviously, to the products. But there's also a lot of stuff that's like just commission work. And so I guess I need to figure out or just be putting up stuff that has to do with the product. So it's at least consistent with what's being offered from the brand, what I'm advertising for.
Yeah, because you're not really marketing commission work on your Instagram for Odd One Out, like, right? It's almost like you have two separate companies, really.
Exactly.
And that's similar with like Origins, right? Like Origins has like his art company, right? That does like those like wall mounted art pieces done on the 5-axis. And he has like some other products under that brand. But then I believe he has a completely other, what's it called? Like CNC millworking for hire company.
And does he advertise that?
Yeah.
Does he advertise both on the same platform?
Sure. Yeah, it's two Instagrams.
Oh, okay.
They're separate, yeah.
Under different branding or the same?
Different branding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to do the same. Yeah, sounds like a nightmare. You know what I mean? Like a fucking, I hate.
Well,
I hate, but it's necessary, but yeah.
But you can just decide that your commission work is doing well enough that you don't need to market it, and you just and then you just focus on the whatever, right? Because
I guess
like, don't you have enough commission work where it's like, it's not like you desperately need commission work right now?
No, I don't. But like I said before, you're always digging the well before you need it. And I don't know if, well, how do you think, like, in terms of like the, obviously, sorry, you're also making retail products. You know, you want to have a product line that you're making, but your focus, same with me in a similar way, is that we're doing the commission works, what is really our bread and butter, right? That's how we're making our nut right now. And does your Instagram serve as a way that you actually get work from it, or is it more as a portfolio and a way to just remind people that you're around? You know,
It's definitely, I would say 50, 60% to remind people that we're around, but we have been increasingly getting people reaching out saying, hey, I found you through Instagram. And then they message us through our website because it's connected. And them saying, hey, I love those tables you did at Nemesis or whatever. We're doing a revamp of our restaurant tables. Like currently in talks for a job for it's like a Richmond Hill coffee shop or something. And they just came through images that were posted on our Instagram of the Nemesis job.
oh, cool.
So yeah, I'm not sure. Like it's definitely, I think increasingly so. Hopefully we'll become more, I don't know how to say it. More of a like a leads gen through Instagram, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Like word of mouth or whatever. But we're doing a different thing with our Instagram now is I'm gonna do it in like threes, like 3 photos in a row that are all from a similar thing. So you can see like the first one I've already done of the island that we did. And then the next one will be like, if it's shop content, it will be 3 of like a similar kind of theme within the shop. And then it'll kind of just be 3, 3, 3, 3, just like that. But I want to get a lot more project.
When you say like this, is that a carousel then? Your first one is like the finished.
No, so there are 3 carousels. So it's 3 like images that are similar in tone and style and maybe even the product. Right. So the next one that I want to do is I want to get the chair finished. And I want to go do a photo shoot for that. And then it'll be 3 photos. And then behind each photo of the product in situation or wherever I do it, abstract, will be a behind the scenes thing from the.
Oh, I see.
From
So
the
you're
build.
posting the same product 3 times, and in those 3 carousels, then after the cover photo or the first one is. Does this still happen? I don't even know, but. You know, in Instagram, you're scrolling down for some reason, it always shows you the second photo first.
Well, so what it does is the first day it will show the first photo,
Yeah.
and then it will kind of analyze how that does, and then the next day it will show the second photo.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. So that's why carousels are so good because it will like keep trying different parts of your carousel and seeing how it does.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was some annoyance. That's
No,
like,
no.
show me the first one, man. Like you know.
But you might have interacted with the second one more, and then it qualified you that, oh, you like the second one more. I'm going to show you that one more often.
Right.
But yeah, I just know that they suggest to do carousels for that reason. But yeah, so I'm trying to get like we had kind of a brand look at the start of our Instagram, but then we started actually getting busy, and then it was just like I was putting up content just because I hadn't posted in a while because we were busy, and then it started to kind of get the content started to kind of get mix matched, like it looked like it wasn't all from the same company. So now with getting ready to launch the new website, I want to kind of have a cohesive kind of direction for the Instagram as well, because those are going to be the 2 main touch points for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always my concern with the retail brand is that I guess I get probably overly obsessed with thinking about consistency for the feed as opposed to what might just get eyes on the product. And another thing was that, again, for the retail product, I want to show enough behind the scenes so people understand that this stuff is actually made in a small shop, you know, by hand. You know, I use tools and machines, you know, I'm not carving everything with chisels. But also balancing that with the other messages with the brand. You know, I don't want to garner a bunch of viewership from people necessarily. I don't necessarily want to build a base of my viewership just based on showing shop things, because I'm actually trying to sell things from my Instagram. Now, maybe that's the wrong way to look about it, but I guess I'm just trying to think about how to steer a retail product brand and still have all the other messaging and all the other visuals and information that you want with that. With, you know, it's easy for me to make content from the shop because I'm constantly doing stuff here. I'm wondering what I should do with that. Like, should I just do the follow along while I'm trying to make this business? And that's actually what our Instagram is. And then when products are done, I just have a few clean photos that I also post up. You know, I'm not sure. I feel like I'm trying to, you know, what was that thing I mentioned before? Like every large company wants to seem like they're small group, and every small group of people want to make themselves look like they're one large company. I'm not sure where I should land on the, like, are people going to take the product seriously if it looks like it's just me here, twiddling away, figuring things out, or if I should just have a completely clean Instagram that's literally just, the kind of typical thing you would see for your retail products.
I think that the typical retail Instagrams are like, they're almost the same thing as like ad blindness now, where it's just like, if it's a polished advertisement, people kind of turn it off because they want to just see their friends and people that they've chosen to interact with. They want to see their content.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just like a perfectly manicured, stylized Instagram with no personality or no like behind the scenes or anything like that, I think it just gets like put in a bucket with all the other ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it really gives the best chance to grow as a brand. I think the best thing for growing a brand is people seeing like you and doing like you're actually building the stuff, and like they can feel like it's just everything that they don't get from those other brands, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are kind of the missing things, but obviously those are the hardest things to do. I'm kind of taken because it's like, what is making me less productive, right? And it's worrying about my content strategy is making me extremely less productive, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Always thinking about it, like, oh, should I film this, should I film this? Okay, this is going to be a 4-day project. Oh, I'm going to be really pumped up and film the first day, but then I'm going to get very bogged down and not film the rest, and now I have no content because there's no start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like the amount of time I wasted thinking about that one thing. Like I could have just been developing new products. And then, so my mindset is now going to getting new products is the main thing. It's not necessarily the style of how I'm showing them, but it's creating new products, getting the website right. And then really starting to come up with, once I have a bunch of things to sell, just going into hardcore sales mode and like prioritizing different things at different times. So I find that the biggest draw on my time is just trying to think of content while developing products and while building. That's the issue I'm having, and I don't know if it's right. I don't know if I'll look back at it after and be like, oh, I should have been doing a lot more content of all this cool stuff that I was developing. But I don't know. My mind, I just can't do both at the same time.
Yeah, I think I have the same struggle. And I mean, I'm happy to hear you say that, from another person's opinion on showing what the business, what you're doing, and to as a differentiation from these other places, because I find I've had the same thought when I find there are people on Instagram and social media that sell products that don't actually make them. They design and then they find people to make them and stuff like that. And they have successful brands where they're selling things, but they're almost limited by the content that they can make because they're not actually involved in a significant portion of bringing those products to market in terms of actually making them, creating the packaging themselves, and all of the enough of the things that go behind creating those actual products that they would have something to actually show. And I'm sure for them, that's probably a struggle. Where in our position, I actually probably don't have anything limiting me from creating content because I'm constantly working on these products. And I think I do need to just let go of this kind of idea of having something that's super polished in every facet because it's not realistic. And it also could work against me having people interested in purchasing the products because I could be building some amount of viewership interested in seeing the process come along so that by the point comes that I'm actually selling these things on the website, they've seen the development process all the way through and are already kind of interested in it. And if they're not even going to buy it themselves, maybe they'll at least mention it, because they've been interested in the process.
And it's super interesting. Like one thing you said there was that they may not have access to the kind of vignettes or the kind of things that we have access to shoot, but they also, what they have over us is they have access to time to create content, because basically they decided at the beginning of their business, we're going to be a content business and that's how we're going to sell products. Whereas we both decided we're going to be a furniture business, and we're going to create products, and we're going to develop retail. But then it's like, oh, but we actually decided that we're going to learn how to do it and build everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we have more access to things to shoot, but with the double-edged sword is we have no time to do it. So my mindset keeps going to like, what's a happy life for me? Like, is it just like fretting about like not growing 40% every 6 months or whatever? Like, just like, or is it, should I just hunker down, accept to go slow, and just make sure that I'm doing enough to like pay my bills and profit and a little bit, but like not worry about jumping to a giant sized company through content or however, and just develop slowly, right? Like develop my product line, be very mindful and kind of targeted in what I want to build, and kind of just learn on the side as I go, but not putting as much pressure or timelines on myself to like get 10 new clients, right? Like if I have 3 that are paying everything that I need to pay, and I'm able to live my life and develop the things that I need to develop on the side, and that should be fine. And then I think slowly it will progress. And then if I like do a look back 2 years from now to now, it will probably seem like a giant jump, but it will have felt slow.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
It does. It does. I mean, I think, and then in that kind of sense of like, oh, I'll work on this for 2. Like I always think it's like, again, going back to like the content piece, because yeah, we don't really have the time to edit and post all this stuff too. I mean, that's the hard part. I can capture it, but it's hard to even throw together a really rough edit of something and put it out there. But I was like, if I had captured everything that's gone into this business over the last 5 years, I'd probably be a lot farther along in terms of my reach if I had just started doing it. So that's why I always think too, I'm like, oh, did I fuck up by not filming all of the R&D on the different dozen of recipes to come up with the current concrete casting to try and nail down exactly what I need it to be and all the problems that I faced, and just all the other facets of all the other things. But yeah, it's a constant struggle. But then at the same time, just like you're saying, like, well, do I have time for that? That does mean it's going to be taking time away from other things. One being things that I actually enjoy doing, because I don't enjoy capturing the content. I enjoy putting it out into the world, but it's one of those things where I dislike all of the process that leads up to that, especially because even I'm sure if or when I do that, I'm so precious with everything is that I'll spend way too much time editing that. And I think that's where, like we've talked about before, I need someone else to do it because I need someone else to give a little bit less of a shit about the things that don't matter. Because the type of attention to detail I put in my products is not the attention to detail I need to be putting into the content that I'm putting out there in the world.
Posted is better than perfect. That's what they say.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a through line of this podcast that we keep coming back to, and it's that content piece and figuring out like the push and pull of kind of knowing that it works, knowing that there is kind of a path toward what works and what doesn't, but then yeah, just like because it does take a lot of your brain like availableness or power to like I don't know to come up with a plan for that, right? And like it's not like an instant thing either. So you just got to keep doing it with no results. Like, I don't know what other sales thing you would keep doing with no results and still think that it was the right thing, right? Like it's, if you're sending out cold emails to 100 people and you do that for a month and you don't get one response, right? Like it's like, you wouldn't continue doing it knowing it's the way to go. But social media and content seems to be like that's what you would need to do, right?
Well, here's the other question too. I mean, instead of this time focused on creating and posting content to build your own channel through whatever platform, do you just focus on getting the products out there, create and flood to as many influencers that already have people that they market to as you possibly can, and then really our social media pages are just landing pages where you see the products displayed in a nice way that has your brand messaging, and those pages don't exist to gain large followers to view every new post you throw up, in the same kind of way that we're thinking about it as, they're just, it's a landing page. That's where you see it. That's where you can find our website, blah, blah, blah.
And I think that 100% that is the probably kind of the perfect marriage of what product companies should be doing. We've kind of taken a bit of a turn. I know we've talked about this in previous podcasts, is that we're basically developing our product line now for B2B because those seem to be the easiest connections for us to make. And so basically our website, the product lines that we're selling are all going to be targeted at it like increasing the sales to customers that we already have. So if we're doing 10 custom pieces for a job, maybe we're also selling 15, 20, 30 off the rack like products that we have as more of like a trade account catalog kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to think of the influencer play and even the content play, to be honest, for that. I think that like the direct path of that is one, having the products to sell, and then just having those direct connections with the interior designers or whoever is going to buy them and just go straight B2B.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of taking a step. Like my priorities right now are product development, website development, and then once those are done, then just literally outreach.
Just have everything done and just do it basically segmented.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense because it's hard. It's hard to basically the other strategy is I'm going to do all of the things all at the same time, and you can't do anything.
And you're gonna do 5% of what you should be doing for each one. Like it's just like, yeah, you should be doing 10 videos a week, but you have time to do one, right? Like it's like you're not even going to. They say that if you're doing like ads, like unless you put in like 5K or whatever minimum, then you're not even putting enough money for the algorithm to work, right? So it's like not your audiences that you're creating don't even like aren't even valid because you didn't put enough input into like get the system to work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we also talked about, or I think I'd mentioned maybe last time we talked is like I was looking forward to this time because I had a period of time between having commission work. And so it gave me a break to actually start working on the products, you know, the long-term goal stuff that has to be on the back burner while I'm pumping out commissions. I ended up picking up some kind of smaller jobs in that time anyway. They seem to, I mean, I'm not complaining, but I'm not complaining at all. And I'm not saying like, you know, sometimes you say like, I'm not complaining, but they're actually kind of complaining. I'm actually not complaining at all. Like I need and want that business, but it does mean that obviously the products continue to get kind of pushed back. And now if I'm thinking about the year and how much I'm going to get done, you know, it's June already, you know, Christmas is around the corner. If I want to hit a certain window of time to get the products done, and there's still a lot of work to be done on them. I've got, you know, the iPhone, the AirPod charger. I need at least 4 other products to fill out the website aside from the hoops. That are all consistent with the new brand direction. I'm running out of time. Like I got a lot to figure out and I don't have that much time to get it done. So I'm hoping for a little bit of some time to work on in the next month or so, but I can't say no to work.
I know. That's the mindset where I'm at too, where it's just like I kind of want to, where it's like, okay, I've filled my next 2 months up, like bare minimum paying my bills. Should I just not take anything else and then just have like maybe it takes me a month to finish those orders? Then I have a whole month to do all those other crucial things that I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that would be more beneficial than taking on a little bit more profit and filling up that other month.
Right. As long as you're not burning a bridge, I guess, with a client or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's the one issue is saying no. But I've been actually over the last week we can go into pricing. I've been having a little bit of like, I kind of get like under a veil of like working with the developers. It's a very streamlined system, right? Like they kind of know, they kind of understand the price of things. There's not much back and forth on pricing. They approve, they pay quickly. They're a very good client. They give us like kind of creative freedom to like, if they send us a reference that's like someone else's work, we're not going to build that. They give us creative freedom to kind of say, okay, we like that you like this style, but we're going to come back with our own table, right? We're not going to rebuild like just because something can't get shipped in time or whatever. We're not just going to build the same thing that other people build. So they're great with that. They completely understand that, and we've redeveloped a lot of products that way. But it's now I'm starting to get like word of mouth from those. So it's people that have seen or like been to the locations that we've done for those developers, and now they're reaching out saying, "Oh, we have a coffee shop. We want 6 tables and whatever, 15 stools, 30 stools, whatever it is." And then going into pricing with them is now like it's a completely different landscape. And it's like you go normally and then they say, actually, no, it needs to be half of that. And you're like, okay, well, it can't be half of that. Like, it's like, so we've actually been going and like just getting to a breakable point with a lot of these people that are coming through word of mouth from these other jobs, where it's just like they're almost asking for us to do it for like just above IKEA prices for like custom furniture. We get to the point where we have to say no and we have to say sorry, but it's a weird thing to kind of go from the relationship that like is easy, streamlined, works, and then to the other kind of pitching where it's just you're going back and forth and you just like you don't really know what to say, because like it's hard to educate people without sounding like a dick on like why things cost a certain amount.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that is a challenge. I mean, I think, you know, I've certainly had my fair share of that as well. And, you know, we talked about this a little while ago where I had an interior designer that I had done work for in the past, but there were always a lot more work to get everything across the table, or like I was doing a lot of designs for them and not hearing back. There wasn't a lot of professional courtesy, and They really only ended up going for a few commissions over many, many quotes. And, most recently they were trying to beat me down on price for something. And these days I'm like, I know what I have to charge for these things. I've gotten pretty adept at calculating how long it's going to take me to build something, how I can build in the margin. And like I told you before, I basically have a flat rate of beyond material and incidental costs that I charge per day's work on something, and I basically just assess how many days it's going to take. And if it falls below that, there would have to be a pretty good reason why I would take that contract outside of it just being another job, because there's other shit that I need to be doing that is going to pay full price or is going to be more valuable to me in the long run than to secure a bad customer. And sometimes, yeah, it's explaining it not in so much as, well, one, like we talked about this before, anyone's like, I saw this on this website. I'm like, if you saw it there, buy it there. If that's the price you've seen, buy it there, because there's no way this is going to cost less or as much as that. Or it's like, if it's tabletops, it's like, well, you can buy the table bases if you want something that looks similar to, and I can make you a solid top. The bases you can get from any restaurant supply store, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the time people just want something they don't understand how much it costs. And that can often be it. Honestly, as much with restaurants as with anyone else, because restaurants are working with very small margins. It's pretty uncommon for restaurants to have budgets where, like Marcon, like you've been working with them on those are uncommon budgets for most restaurants. Yeah, it's tough to be able to explain something, like you're saying, like to explain to them why. But really, at the end of the day, it's not really our job so much to explain why. And by our job, I mean, like, you don't really want to be in the situation to have to explain why. You just want to be like, I mean, this is what we can do it for. These are the other routes we could take to try and make it more cost effective. But then when they're like, oh, that's too much, it's like, well, I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a new land, but I guess it's a growing pains, and I guess it's a good sign that it's like, these are the kind of issues. It's just like, people are coming and they're obviously their budgets aren't maybe enough for custom work, but they're still like, the word of mouth is getting out there.
So how did it end with those conversations?
So one of them is basically, they said, we have this amount of money for 6 tables, 20 stools. And then we said, or no, I said, okay, so here's the budget. And I like, honestly, it was like a extremely fair budget. I don't even think it was premium charged at all. And then they basically came back and said, oh, we're looking for something a little more economical. We only have half of that. And then I said, oh, well, because I gave them a range, because we didn't have design, like final design for any of the stuff. It was like a rough kind of thing. So I said the range is from this number to this number. And then basically they came back at their number, and I said, okay, well, we could do the low range of what I gave you if we make these concessions, like using ash instead of like white oak, like those kind of things.
Yeah.
Making the stools very, very simple. I sent them a bunch of images for like different stool styles to kind of get an idea of where they were leaning. And they said, oh, completely understand. Let's just start with the 6 tables. And then I sent a quote for the 6 tables, and I haven't heard back in 2 days.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like you definitely did a good job of communicating. And it's tough, like how much work you have to do up front. When you're trying to work within a budget, it honestly takes more time and costs more to work within a budget in a lot of ways, because there's a lot of upfront work to try to get to a budget that's tough to get under. And that can be a hard pill to swallow too, especially when you're busy and you're putting a lot of time into creating a quote and doing some designs to try and work within someone's budget, and then you still don't get it in the end. That stings a little extra.
Well, it goes into the professional courtesy thing as well that you were talking about. And then I guess I'm newer to it, but I haven't had very bad experiences up until like this, honestly, this last month, where it's just like someone even says like, oh yeah, send over the invoice. Like, I'm ready to pay the deposit, and like, I need this done in 2 weeks. So like, yeah, just send me the invoice. And then you send them the invoice, and now it's like a week later and you followed up twice and there's no response.
Right.
So I think that like maybe the education on the mass of people is that we operate like a retail company, like we're like an IKEA. So like, if you don't respond to an IKEA, who cares? Right. But it's like they have to understand that it's kind of a service. We're a very small service-based industry. So it's like, it's the exact same as like any service-based industry. Like when we used to run a production company, right? And if you're pitching a job and you put forward your director and all that, and then it's just common courtesy for like to respond, even if it's like, we're fine if you don't want to do it, right? Like that's completely okay. We understand that if budget's not right or things change on your end, that's fine. But it's just we're kind of forecasting this job, but like not really, nothing's locked in. So it's kind of just this looming thing that you kind of worry about. And especially if you follow up twice and still no response. And then like one of them that we did that with too as well, another project, they finally got back to us and said, sorry, emails were getting buried last week. We were super busy, but I know they were just opening their spot. So they finally replied and say, we don't have the budget to invest in this right now, but we'll talk in the fall. And I was like, great, no problem. Like those messages are like, those don't hurt us. Like those are we'd rather know than not know. So it's like, yeah, the only response you're going to get from us if you send us we're not going through with this message is, okay, no problem. Let us know if you need anything in the future. But it's the ones that are kind of bothering and kind of affect the business in a negative way is just the no responses, especially when you've like sent an invoice. Like,
yeah, I mean, and it's more rare for sure to get to the point where like, oh, I'm ready for deposit, send the invoice, and then you don't hear anything back.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, the fuck?
Well,
Like,
yes, we do the quote and we send quotes, and those are like the moment where it's usually, this is too much, these are the issues, blah blah blah, and maybe it ends right there. But if once it goes to this quote looks good, send the invoice, and then there's no response, it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like I hold, like a designer to a different standard than I do a customer, because you are interacting with somebody at a professional capacity, whereas opposed to a civilian coming to you and asking for something. I don't have the same level of expectation. But if you are a designer and you're coming in and you don't respond, it's rude, because you shouldn't be naive to the fact that a lot of work goes into discussing these projects and quoting them, and that it's the least common denominator to have that type of respect for the other person on the other end to say, especially if you're working in good faith with someone. And that, honestly, that shit really pisses me off.
I've never had it with a designer. It's always been a customer. Yeah. And like it's for custom work, but it's always just been like a consumer. It's never Interior designers have always been pretty good with getting back to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I've had it on both fronts.
Yeah. I'm sure I will.
Yeah, we all will. I mean, look, it pisses me off, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, we're just complaining here, right? So yeah, it's annoying. It's definitely annoying when it happens, and there is a lot of upfront work that goes into quoting. Just inherently it has to. They're all custom projects, But yeah, man. Well, I guess we could probably wrap there. What do you think?
That's the pod.
Yeah, that's the pod. Yeah, what's that guy's name again?
No, that's from million, My First Million.
Yeah. But what's
Sam? Sam?
What's that? Yeah.
Sam. And he just says, that's the pod. That's it.
What. Okay, well that is the pod, but also, anyway, you can find me at oddoneoutdesign.com and at oddoneoutdesign on Instagram.
And you can find me at humble_object on Instagram and humbleobject.com.
All right, sweet, man. All right, good chatting. Peace.
Peace.